So, thank you again for joining us today for another episode of For Humanity's Sake. I wanted to interview you because I had heard some great things about what you're doing for veterans. Can you tell us what your name is and your branch and your service and your rank that you were in?
My name is Don Taylor. I was in the Marine Corps, but I'm still a Marine. I was in from 1991 to 1995 during Desert Storm.
Okay. What was your rank?
I was E4.
Okay, and what's an E4?
Non-commissioned officer. Basically, I had 56 troops underneath me.
Oh, wow.
I was in charge of 56 troops.
Wow. So you saw, I remember growing up and them sending the troops out to Desert Storm. I'm sure you saw a lot of action over there.
Well, no, I didn't make it to Desert Storm because of my military specialty or my occupation in the military. I was in explosives. So what I did is in Okinawa, Japan, when I was there, we received a lot of the munitions back from other places, like Kuwait and Iraq and so forth. And we actually blew it up in Okinawa. So I like to say I was too smart to go to war. It took 8 months just for my education in the military. Wow. And that's a long school because explosive ordnance disposal, you only get one try.
Yeah.
You don't get a second chance.
Yeah, I imagine you get one shot at that.
That's it. And other than that, then you're history.
Yeah. Wow.
Many people join the military because they want a sense of purpose. Being a part of something bigger than yourself and feeling like you are contributing to something good is a common reason to join the military. However, joining the military is usually a life-defining decision. The greatest opportunity for a successful enlistment or longer career will suffer if you have been persuaded into joining. Before enlisting, one should be sure they can articulate the basis of their desire to join and be confident in their decision.
So, what do you remember about the day that you enlisted?
After just suffering through depression, I just basically enlisted one day.
Yeah.
I was happy, satisfied, and I just said to myself, I'm bored.
Yeah. Looking for a little fulfillment.
Yes. And 3 or 4 days later, I was in California in boot camp.
Wow. What do you remember about the day you said you were bored? What do you remember about the day that you enlisted?
Got in an argument with my brother, and I was so lost. I was financially happy. He had a great company, but I got in an argument with him and found out that I was only used at that time for one thing, to do a job. And when I got in an argument, I left his company and went back home. I just cried in my bed pretty much. And how do you go back to work when you don't have a work to go back to?
Right. Yeah.
So that'll make anyone depressed.
Yeah, for sure.
When it's your life, you know.
For sure. So then, if that's the case, then being depressed and everything, what were some of the main reasons that you actually joined the military?
Camaraderie. I needed people that, and I didn't know I knew this at the time. I needed people to understand me. I was coming out of college, coming out of wrestling, coming out having teammates in football, playing tennis, and only those people understood me. I didn't have a bigger circle. I was young. You don't know anything. You only knew what you knew. But camaraderie, having somebody to throw a ball to, it just literally, just being happy in my circle. That's what made me realize that, I wanted to join a place that understood me. In the Marine Corps, and me being, of course, all children, I was 21 at the time. Everyone is tough at 21. Right. I said, I'm gonna join the toughest crowd.
The Marines are pretty tough.
Oh yeah, it was. I wish I would have known back then what I know now, but.
Yes.
In the military, caring about yourself is not as much of a priority as it is in civilian life. The focus is more on your crew and the task at hand. It is no secret that military life has some strict rules and expectations. This might be one of the biggest contrasts between military and civilian life. For some, this is an easy transition, while for others, it becomes their greatest source of regret. Rigid schedules, tone of voice, responses to commands, and how you present yourself are just a few examples of things you will need to strictly adhere to. proving the transition into military life can be just as daunting as the adjustment of leaving the service.
What are some of the things you remember about adapting to military life?
That's a great question because this is so weird and unique. I didn't have to adapt. I've seen so much destruction and drugs and inner city poverty. I seen so much when I was young. You know, we used to stand in the cheese lines in Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
Wow.
You had to run to the store, get my mom's cigarettes,
Yeah.
and read the back of the panel and said, you know, it causes cancer.
Yeah.
It's just life was in chaos, but that was my chaos. So I didn't have to adapt. I just changed positions.
Yeah.
I just went from being a young child in confusion to being in an orderly situation, but getting compensated, getting paid for it.
Right, right. So would you say, like, before you even joined the military, that you envisioned that life, that structure that you always wanted? Is that what you were looking for to get into the when you joined the military?
I didn't know what I was looking for, but I knew that I could find people that understood me. I didn't really care what was on the other end because at the time Desert Storm was going. So if you know you're gonna possibly go to war, I wasn't looking for war.
Right.
But I knew that I could hang out and talk to people that understood me. So I didn't really I didn't frail, you know, I wasn't scared of anything.
Right.
I just wanted to hang out with people.
Right, right.
So
What are some things then, talking about hanging out with people and the people that understand you, what are some of the things that you remember most about being deployed?
this is so weird and so unique. I remember that I didn't have to worry about where my next meal was coming from. You know, I didn't worry about things. The military, that's one thing you won't do in the military is worry. My life changed. I didn't even know if it was for the better. But I can tell you this is that I didn't have to deal with my friends back home that was selling drugs. I didn't have to argue with my family. I didn't have to go into the basement and sleep, you know, just literally be by myself. You know, I wasn't isolated. You know, how do you have worries when you can do anything with your buddies? That's not a worry.
Right.
The worry is going back home and seeing your mom every 3 days, only going in the kitchen certain times. So I didn't have any worries when I joined.
So would you say, like, when you joined, it was kind of a little bit of an escape for you?
It was like getting up running every morning, hanging out with people, going to other countries. That's a vacation. You know.
That's one way to describe a vacation.
You know, right? That's a vacation, and you don't know it when you're young. You just do it. But the thing is that I guess that's why the military is the military.
Right.
And people, when they come out and they come back to what they left, that's where it's shocking. But it was. I didn't even know what a blessing was back then, but it was a blessing to be able to hang out with people, laugh, joke, smile. Instead of listening to gunshots and seeing what buddy of yours got, you know.
So you escaped the gunshots at home to go join the Marines and mess with explosives.
But I was controlling the situation because I went to school for it.
That's a good point, because you're in control of the situation, at least when you're in the military messing with those explosives. When you're at home, that's just unnecessary violence.
Somebody else is in control.
Yeah.
And I was platoon guide, so I got to choose my MOS. I could have chose a doctor, I could have chose a nurse, I could have chose anything I wanted to be, but I chose explosives, and I made it.
That's awesome.
The Marines say the change is forever. Civilians may not be aware of the unique challenges that separating from military service and returning to civilian life can present. Veterans returning home may find it difficult relating to people who do not understand what military personnel have experienced. Reestablishing a role in the family could also prove challenging. Whereas families may have created new routines during their absences, and both the family and the veteran will have to adjust to changes. The military provides structure and has a clear chain of command that does not naturally exist outside the service. A veteran trying to find that purposeful mission again will have to create his or her own structure or adjust to living in an environment with more ambiguity.
Can you describe how you felt coming home from combat? I mean, I know for civilians, we're taught or told that, you know, it's a different mindset that you have to have going out into combat like that. You have to, like you said, you were built back up by them to be prepared to go into combat. I mean, we see the movies, we see the news, we see troops going into dangerous places on the news and war and stuff like that. With you having to deal with any of that, how did you feel coming home after combat?
You keep saying the word feel. It doesn't matter.
Right.
It doesn't really matter. I mean, no matter what. I mean, I talk to veterans. I have tenants as veterans all day, every day. Who cares about your feelings?
Right.
You know, you think it's hard nowadays, and I see it all the time, but I have to be open-minded also. I have to be, because that's the way of life now. Do you think that veterans or even military people have feelings? And not saying all are like that. But if they get, it's kind of like going into, you know, going to get surgery. The doctor may lose you on the table. You think the doctor's supposed to go home and cry? No, the doctor's there to do his job. So coming home really to me was just a way of life. I mean,
It was just the next step for you.
if it was a step, it's hard to explain, because imagine waking up in the morning, you don't have a job, you don't have any money, your mom takes care of you. You know you're going to eat. What do you do? What do you do? Do you have to do anything? No. You can watch TV all day, which is what we did when we was But no, you just don't have feelings, I think. And it's hard to say because it's not the way we talk nowadays. But who cares about your feelings? But I can tell you this, you get 10 Marines in a room, and if you want to get a job done, it's going to get done. And you're going to have some issues afterwards. But feelings don't apply.
Right. So what do you use as a coping mechanism then?
People like you. That's the truth. I call Miss Mary my motivator. It's people that you meet that'll get you through the next day. That's the truth, because if a person don't know their net worth, can you imagine not having no worth? I mean, literally, and I'm not trying to be camera-like. I'm not trying to be. It's just, it's different. It's unique. It's not. Can you imagine not having no goals, not having no dreams, but you're walking around happy and smiling? But I can imagine it, but there's no way to cope. You just survive. You know, I don't know. Cope is different. Cope is like you actually go to somebody and talk to them, and they understand what you're trying to say. So they say, okay, do this. It doesn't work for me. I haven't slept good in probably 15 years.
Wow.
When I say good, I haven't slept for 8 consecutive hours in 15 years. I don't even know what sleep feels like. I wear glasses just because I have dark circles in my eyes today. So what's my coping mechanism to not having sleep? You don't have a mechanism. I got homework to do tonight. You just do what you got to do to get it done.
What are some things that you actually miss about being in the service?
Oh man, I miss everything because it was so secure. It was so secure. If I would have known back then what I know now, I just said this yesterday to another veteran, I'd still be in. They would have to kick me out. But when you have serenity and security, and you got friends, and you're being compensated, why would you leave it? But we didn't know any better. Come home, you think you miss your buddies, you miss your girlfriend. They ain't even there no more when you get back. But you bad when you come home. Oh yeah, I'm gonna get out this place and treated me that. I miss everything about the military because it was the best job I ever had.
Let's flip that coin. Are there any things that you are glad that you left behind in the military?
I'm glad that I left behind. I don't think I left from being in the military. I brought my luggage with me. I got all my pain, all my struggles, everything with me. Now I'm mad and upset with myself because I didn't have my childhood friendships. Like, you know how people say it's my best buddy, we grew up together. I don't have that. You know, you lose track and you can't talk to them. So why just fake it? I brought all my luggage with me except anything. I brought everything from the military I brought with me. But everything prior to the military, I don't even want to see it.
So for you, it wasn't so much of stuff that you left behind in the military, it's the stuff that you left behind before you even joined the military.
Oh, I joined the military to leave it behind.
Right.
I hope it stay there. I mean, literally, I was facing, and this is weird, I'm not a thug or a hood dude or whatever, but I mean, literally, I was one gunshot away from death or 10 gunshots away from facing 30 years in jail. I got some stories, but I just try to not talk about them because then they become reality. But
you don't want to speak them back into existence.
No, man. Can you imagine? I was facing 30 years one time.
Wow.
Facing 30, and I was the same clean cut, well-spoken guy that I was back then. But guess what? Somebody pick up a gun and then you pick up one. Yeah. Luckily, mine's jammed.
Wow.
And
That's
about
amazing.
3 months later, I was in the military.
Wow.
I could be facing 30 years. I got a stepbrother, a half brother that's facing life, and a first cousin that's facing life because their gun didn't jam.
While more than 7 in 10 veterans report they had an easy time readjusting to civilian life, 27% say re-entry was difficult for them, a proportion that swells to 44% among veterans who served during 9/11. The ever-changing face of the military and of service itself means that our veterans require individualized support for wounds both visible and invisible, depending on when, where, and how they served. Left untreated, these invisible wounds can have devastating effects on veterans and their families. According to the RAND Center, people affected with depression, PTSD, and traumatic brain injury can exhibit higher rates of other unhealthy behaviors, higher rates of physical health problems, and higher rates of suicide.
One of the hardest jobs that a person can do is join the military, in my opinion. So I definitely want to say again, thank you for your service. And coming out of your service, I would love to talk about some things that you're going to do going forward. So from what we talked about, can you tell me a little bit about the behavioral health center that you're starting?
Yes, it's weird because I think I'm starting it for me, but I realized that children, young men under the age of 21 are the future. And I have to live in this future. I learned after my success in life, financially, mentally, spiritually, and so forth, I have to do something. Literally, I mean, I cry, but I have to do something. And I really want to be around people that is going through the same thing I'm going through. That's the truth. And, people call them crazy or behavioral health or, sometimes mental. I have to be around people that's similar to me.
Is this for civilians or specifically for veterans?
It will be for civilians because, capitalism runs this world. So if you try to put yourself in a box, you're in trouble. But I like to focus on military veterans, especially the children of military veterans. But you have to be careful. Your focus doesn't matter it's what the bank thinks.
Right.
I know that military veterans will financially taking care of them will make me and has made me financially happy for me to spread the love. So yes, I would like to focus on military veterans, but wherever you can pay your bills, you better be there.
What actually compelled you to want to start a behavioral health center?
Same depression I think I was going through, what made me join the military. you get in a position where, I don't know, there's no fulfillment. So how do you keep your cup full if every day it's the same thing? You know, it's just it's hard to explain, because the reason you and me both are here is because we try to look for people that can fill our cup up, and in exchange, your cup is full so you can help somebody else out. It's hard, it's tough, but I just try to fill up my cup and help people.
I know the needs are many, but what would you say are the biggest needs of a veteran?
Well, it doesn't matter what I feel, but I can tell you this. When you have a child that's 16 years old and has never had a football thrown to them, have never done a craft project with their father or mom, always on the schedule, left multiple friends behind, the different duty stations. That's the definition of chaos. So, all people need help. Daughters and sons of veterans, if we don't pay attention, it's going to be a whole nother, I don't know, I could say a section of humanity, a section of people that is unique. So what do we do with them? But we knew it at the time. It could be 40 million children of military veterans that have mental health issues. And we knew it. So, but what do? Well, you have to do something. You have to.
And that's where your behavioral health center comes in.
Man, behavioral health is, and we don't like to say mental health anymore. Right. Behavioral health is everything. And you don't realize it until you need it.
Well, it sounds like you got a lot going on there. What do you actually need to get your project of the Behavioral Health Center off the ground?
I actually purchased a old schoolhouse in Great Falls, South Carolina. It was the old middle school. It's 30,000 square feet, has the old gymnasium in it. It sits on 10 acres. It overlooks all of Great Falls just about. It's one of the most amazing places I've ever seen. And all I need now is motivation and hard work. The funds will come. If you do something that is beneficial to people, you don't have to worry about it. It's gonna take care of itself. But the motivation and hard work is all I need for me, because I don't need no help. But I can tell you this: I'll die trying. But I'm working with SCORE, which is a mentor agency. They're helping me with all of the different things that I need, from environmental studies to finding contractors, to finding grants, to finding loans, to doing financing. As long as I have SCORE in my corner and I can keep a little motivation, that's it. That's all I need. Yeah. So, but we're just starting. I mean, when I say we're, you got to make it sound like a corporation. It's just starting, and it's still in the grass is still high in the front. We haven't even broke ground on renovations yet. But I got to trust the process. Right. And the process is about 2 years, okay, if I'm lucky.
And last question, what is your biggest hope for the Behavioral Health Center?
It's so different to even hear it, because when I say my answer, people say, oh, whatever. It sounds like maybe you're just saying it for the camera, or maybe you're just saying it just because you got to make something sound good. Can you imagine going somewhere where everybody is happy? Even people with disabilities. I lost my twin brother, he had a disability. Can you imagine everywhere you go, people are happy? But here's the thing, they're happy based on their happiness, not based on what you think they're supposed to be doing. A child or a young man in general can be happy. They just have to understand that they're doing it for themselves. You don't have to be an engineer. You don't have to be a doctor. You can be an artist, but guess what? Just be happy. So if you can walk into a place where you have people with actual chemical imbalances and mental imbalances and physical imbalances, can you imagine them still being happy? Just being happy. If everybody in that building can be happy and people come to work, you know, they got to get compensated. That's what people do. Yeah. But guess what? I would rather go to a place where people are happy and me be broke than going to a place where I'm rich and everybody is upset. That's what it's like going to places to jobs nowadays. You go, everybody's mad, but yeah, everybody is, you know, UPS now make $170,000 a year, but nobody is happy. Well, I can't say that, but a lot of unhappy workers, and they think money is the key. No, you just go to a place. I don't know if it's like Cheers, where everybody know your name. No, you just want to be happy, because when we all leave, at least they'll say you was happy. Yeah, you gotta be happy.